In part 3 of our Iceland series, we'll take you along with us on a few more hikes that we did that led to some pretty unique places. First, let's talk about some canyon hikes. We started this hike early in the morning to avoid the crowds, and we were successful. It was just us, the sheep, and one other couple that got an early start. Early on in this 3.5 mile out and back hike, you pass this really cool waterfall surrounded by basalt columns, which gives a preview of the canyon that we were hiking to. The hike itself is pretty easy. It's scenic, but fairly unspectacular. Along the way, you pass through a gate that keeps the sheep in their proper place, since this hike is actually on private property. Finally, you arrive at the canyon, and on the other side of the river, you can see the viewing platform. However, the views are much better from this side of the river, so even though you have to hike to get here, it's definitely worth it. Interestingly, this canyon was only discovered a few years ago when the water levels of the river decreased due to the water being diverted for a new hydroelectric plant nearby. The owners of the property could now see this amazing formation on their land, and now this has become a popular tourist attraction on the eastern side of Iceland. We were thrilled to be the only ones there, especially because on the way back to the parking lot, we passed all kinds of people starting on the hike, including a whole busload of people that were arriving. So if you do want to visit here, early morning's your best time to avoid the crowds. We were struck by the vibrant colors of the plant life at the beginning of this hike. It starts within view of the nearby glacier, and as you climb steadily up, you eventually get to the first waterfall, right on the other side of the canyon. A bit further up from there, you get your first view of the second waterfall, which is nestled in the back of this stunning canyon. Unfortunately, we were both a little sick this day, including having a fever, so we didn't push ourselves too hard. We didn't get up to the high viewpoint on this hike, but we understand that it's a really amazing viewpoint. But even what we saw here was a really amazing canyon. But let's talk about glaciers now. Iceland is full of them, and we took an ice cave and glacier walk tour through Local Guides Iceland. After fitting us for crampons and harnesses, we took a short drive in the massive truck that took us to the glacier. A short walk up took us to the opening of this natural ice cave, carved out by meltwater. The black that you can see mixed in the ice is actually ash from the many volcanic eruptions that have happened here over the years. After coming out the other side of the cave, we continued exploring some of this massive glacier. In fact, it's part of one of the biggest glaciers in the world. Along the way, we got to taste some meltwater from the glacier. And even see some crevasses. This 5-mile out and back hike winds through a very active geothermal area. So along the way you see plenty of natural steam vents, and even the river itself along the way is steaming. Now this hike smacks you in the face right away. There's a lot of elevation gain at the beginning. As we got higher, the path turned to snow and ice. And in fact, it was pretty slippery. Both of us ended up falling on this hike. Eventually you get to a section of the river where a boardwalk and some changing stations have been built, so you can change into your swimwear and enjoy the warm water surrounded by beautiful snow-capped hills.